welcome back to another episode of the Ethan and Jenna Show. I'm your host, Ethan, and alongside me is Jenna Belk. How are you?
Hello, how are y'all? I'm sorry, I am fixing my green screen right now.
Oh man, it's like whiting out your teeth.
I know, I see that. Oh crap. Oh, there we go. Hi y'all.
How's it going?
Oh man, I'm sorry, I forgot that we stream every Sunday morning. I was cleaning my house and you texted me and you're like, ready? Oh yeah, I have a show.
I'm glad I texted you. See, I set a reminder because I know I'll forget. So I have an alarm go off every Sunday.
That's the thing, is I had the 10 o'clock alarm go off and I even asked my husband, I was like, why is the alarm going off? Yeah, anyway, happy Sunday.
We should really do an episode on ADHD.
Dude, seriously. Yes. Seriously.
I wanted to put together a roundtable on that topic.
That would be fun.
The biggest question of that roundtable would be, can it stay focused?
What are we talking about? Yeah.
So walk me through your week. How has your mental health been this week?
Oh man, so I think most of you know, we lost my father-in-law in July. And something that they say is after a major death, you're not supposed to make really big changes, right? You're not supposed to go and move. You're not supposed to buy things. You're not supposed to do anything kind of drastic. And I found out why is because you get really emotional. Your emotions are just intensified because of the grief that you're still feeling. Even if you're not thinking about it at the moment, you're already kind of on edge. And so when you go through something like buying a house or something, it just gets really exciting and you just get kind of caught up in it and you stop thinking logically. So we've had an interesting week where we thought we were going to buy a house like in a couple weeks. Like we started packing all kinds of things. And then we realized how much we were rushing and how little we were thinking. And we were just like, you know what? Start over. So it's been an extremely emotional week. We weren't able to do a lot of what I wanted to do. So we're kind of starting over fresh Monday, but you know, that's life, you know, it's a pandemic. But you promised to try psychedelics for the first time.
Yes.
And you texted me and it was so cute. You're like, thank you so much. You're such an amazing person. I'm like, oh, he's feeling good.
So yeah, I have, I've never, like, I've tried marijuana and a couple other things, but I've never tried psychedelics before. And I had been talking to a buddy throughout the week and he mentioned that he had some. And I was like, dude, can you help me out here? I'm like, I'm doing an episode on Sunday on mental health and recreational drugs. I'm like, if you could give me a hand in this area, that would be great. So the only downfall to this is I absolutely hate chocolate. Like that is my weakness, my stomach, and it came in chocolate bar form. So I'm just sitting here weighing the cons. Like, I hate this stuff. I have to find a way to get it down. So,
and it's already not pleasant to get down, and that's why they covered it in chocolate.
So what I did is I like having control over my mind, you know, particularly like with a new substance I'm unfamiliar with. Mm-hmm. So I microdosed Friday night, and I was really giddy, like very happy overall. I'm like, this is a really good high. It was actually, in my opinion, it felt better than marijuana.
Right.
Now, the next morning, I had the entire house to myself, and I'm like, let's do this. So I took the rest of the bar.
By yourself?
By myself.
Okay.
I was alone. I'm picky about who I want to be around during that. Totally. Granted, it probably would have been cooler if I had someone to share the experience with. But at the same time, I'm really picky who I would want around.
If you're picky, then it's risky to do that with your first time.
So I figured the safest option was I'm just going to do it by myself. And I got this. And it was an incredible, like emotional experience. My brain felt like it was operating on like 58,000 cylinders. It was just everywhere.
Yeah. But in a good way, right?
Oh, in a great way. But next thing I know, I'm like going into religious arguments with my friends in our group chat. I'm like, come on, Dean Meadows, I'm ready for this. Let's do it. I just felt like I was just on point with everything. I was absorbing like the music, like a podcast I was listening to. Everything was just sinking in. And like there was only one point where I cried, but it was like a happy cry. Like I was looking at my cat and I'm like, I'm so glad I have you, dude. And I got like happy teared up. So it was a great experience. And I unfortunately didn't take enough to where I would I didn't see psychedelic images. Colors were way brighter, of course, but I didn't actually like trip.
Hallucinate.
I did make several videos during this and start posting them on Facebook, which was really entertaining.
That's awesome.
At least for me. That being said,
we had a question.
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
If the mushrooms are actual mushrooms.
Oh, shrooms. Like they were the psychedelic shrooms, but in a chocolate bar.
But they were the actual mushrooms that were dried and ground up and then put into the chocolate bar, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so mushrooms, when you do shrooms, it's typically a specific kind of mushroom that I have no idea where to find it. But it's not just the kind that you can just go in your backyard and find. And then they actually dry it. And I don't know why they dry it, but it comes dried and it's disgusting and textured. I'm sorry, but you were telling a story.
And actually, Stephanie, I'll go into your comment in a minute because I have some feedback on that. But I am totally going to do this again. And here's why. Not only did it feel like a great stress reliever, but since doing it, and I really hope this continues, I feel like my brain is operating like it was before I had seizures. I am quicker and punchier, and I'm like it's been, a day and a half. I don't know if this feeling will last, but I truly hope it does because I'm not getting stuck on my words as often. I'm able to just and keep going. So hopefully that continues because it would be great to be firing on all cylinders again.
So how long have you been having seizures?
So I actually have not had seizures in about a year and a half to 2 years now. However, between all the medication I was on and all the seizures, there was some type of damage done where if you look when I talk, you'll often see me like looking for, like I'll be talking and then I'll just stop. And I'm not talking about when I trail off like ADHD. Like there are times I'm physically looking for the words to grab in my brain and I can't locate them. So with this, I feel like it just opened this door where I'm getting access to those areas again. It's incredibly difficult to describe, but it feels really, really good. And I truthfully, I hope it lasts. We do have our first caller, which we'll get to them in a minute. But,
already?
Yeah. So, yeah. And by the way, if you want to call us and share your thoughts, number is at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, we are a call-in show.
Now, going into the feeling of connectivity, that there is something more out there, I could see or understand how people would succumb to that thought. Because when you're there, you're just like, wow, everything's great. I feel everything. I'm connected. But that's the thing. It's just it's chemical reactions in your brain, emotions firing. You're not actually, in my opinion, connecting to a universe or another being or anything at all. So, my faculties remained intact during that time. I was just crazy happy, crazy goofy. Like I was running up and down the house, like sliding, like woo! And then I'm like dancing. It was so much fun. Then I'm laying in my bed and I'm like, this is actually like the best bed ever.
It's weird.
It is. And I got I had noise canceling headphones in and I was just like in this great zone and I wanted to just talk to everybody and share my experience with everybody. So for me, overall, great experience, and I look forward to it doing it again. But to be clear, uh, if you are going to try this, I highly recommend doing it responsibly around people that you trust and know will take care of you and are experienced with this. So, for example, if you're not careful with your thoughts, they can lead you down a bad path. At one point, it was a short period of time, I got a little anxiety and I started focusing on something that was negative in my life. And all of a sudden, I felt my mind start to trail. And immediately I was like, nope, not doing that. And I went
Mm-hmm.
right I forced myself back into the happy thoughts and just went with it. And it was great. So um, I would recommend it, but only, if you're going to be responsible about it.
Right. Make sure that you know how much you're doing. Make sure you know where you're getting it from and that it's not laced with anything. And, like when you're doing it, when it's mixed with something already, for example, like it's in a chocolate bar, again, be very careful, because if you're getting just the mushroom, which I think Stephanie had asked if it actually tastes like mushrooms. No, I love mushrooms, everything mushroom. And I cannot stand these. Like I have a gag reflex that is associated with these mushrooms. And so I have to cover them in M&Ms, and the crunchiness of the M&M shell has to get, because the texture of it, and it just tastes gross. I'm not gonna lie, it's gross. But it's amazing. It's almost like, it's like magic. I can see how people can see like woo or spiritual experiences, or think that there's like different worlds talking to them or whatever. And because you do feel so connected. But anyway.
And, I will say this, I did send like several messages to people that are important in my life. Like I just wanted them to know I cared. So I was like going through, I'm like, all right, I need to message him.
Right.
Probably did miss a few people, but I just, it was just so good, man. It really was. And I hope that at some point I get to try this again, because again, for my brain alone, it's been extremely beneficial.
Well, really quick, there's a lot of research being done on all kinds of drugs, and I know that mushrooms is in the drugs category. I know that marijuana is in the drugs category, but so is aspirin. I want to mention that yes, it's a drug. You have to be responsible, be careful. But actually, you know what? My ADHD, I had a point and I forgot what it was. Oh no, they've been doing research on it, and there's all kinds of documentaries. And I remember I was watching documentaries, and there was like one documentary about meth, right? And everybody's like, "Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's just bad news. It eats your brain up. Just don't do it, no matter what, across the board." Then I started doing research onto mushrooms and psychedelics, and they're like, "You know what? I did it," and like MDMA. And it was, kind of an interesting experience. And they're like, yeah, they're doing research and they're finding out that it's not that bad.
Right.
It doesn't eat your brain. It actually might lubricate your waves so that you can use them better. I don't know. I do have to do more. They're obviously doing more research than I am. We have to look it up, but they're finding out that it's not terrible. So at least. But we do have a caller, you say?
We do. So let's bring on Thomas. You are on with Ethan and Jenna. How's your day going?
It's going good. Good morning, Ethan. Good morning, Jenna.
Good morning, Thomas. How are you?
How are y'all?
Good.
You're all right. I miss seeing your face and everyone else is at the ACA each week.
Aww.
I miss you.
COVID stuff sucks. How are y'all this morning?
I'm pretty damn good, actually. I am
same.
So chill, relaxed. Like I said, I had a great weekend. So I got nothing to complain about. I had a date yesterday.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Well,
cool.
Let's say a meetup, not a date.
All right.
That's cool.
She I found out like 20 minutes in, not only is she a science nerd, but also she doesn't label herself an atheist, but she is an atheist. So I was like,
cool.
This is awesome.
That is awesome. Congrats.
Thanks.
So, well, I saw y'all's post, Jenna's post yesterday about the topic for today's show. I wanted to call in. I had a couple thoughts and wanted to talk to y'all about them. So,
Awesome.
my main choice is weed and has been for some time. Back in the mid '90s or so, I was a heavy pothead, smoked a lot. Now it's more medicinal. It fills in the gaps that my prescription meds leave. Helps me with my mood swings a lot and my anxiety. I use it more for the medical now. Rarely do I actually smoke just to get stoned anymore. Like
Right.
that was the goal back in the day, and now it's just to help keep my head right. But a couple of thoughts I had on recreational drug use is for one, I think a lot of society's issues as far as drug addiction and so forth stem from some of the core problems that our society has. For example, with systemic racism and the classism, the war against the rich and the poor and so on. But a lot of our issues that we have come from how our society is, and it creates the problems more. And then on top of that, they treat most drug offenders as criminals instead of patients. They're not treating the problem. Something I've thought of on a couple of times when I've done. I try to be introspective as much as I can when I can, and I've realized that I think for most people, the whole reason they try any particular drug to begin with anyway is there's something wrong in their life that they want to escape, whether they realize it or not. And I know that's true for me, and I've talked with a few friends that it's pretty true with also. Hell, I'd be perfectly happy, if I and content if I didn't need the weed. It'd be a lot cheaper in my pocketbook too.
Right. Weed can get expensive.
It is. Man.
Although in
there?
Illinois, it's yeah. Can you hear us? Hello.
Hello, are you still there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm cutting in. Okay, I'm cutting in and out on a bit on this end.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh. Maybe try calling back.
Oh yeah, he just dropped off.
Okay. Well, maybe he'll try to call back. But yeah, no, so there is definitely something to pay attention to. If you are looking for recreational drugs, whether it is for fun or whether it is to cover up something in your life, I would at least ask myself why. Maybe, are you running away from something? Is there something in your life that you're trying to cover up that you maybe could fix, but just don't feel like getting to, or just don't feel like you could handle right now? Because if you're aware of it, fine, do what you're going to do, right? Do what you're going to, nobody's going to be able to stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do to make your life more bearable. But all that I ask is that you at least locate where the issue might be so that you can at least have it in the background of your mind, so you can try to work through ideas of what you could possibly do to try to change it to make it better. Because if you at least just have that in the background, then you at least have an option of moving in a direction that you might want to end up in. Does that make sense? But recreational drugs are different from addiction, from using drugs to get through your addiction. Is when you think that you absolutely need a drug to survive, or like you will die. You cannot resist it. You can be addicted to things that you need. You can be addicted to Adderall if you're prescribed Adderall. Right? I mean, that's a thing. Addiction doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means that you need it. So if you do need it, like for example, I'm on gabapentin, I'm probably addicted. I physically need it.
Like,
okay?
Do you go through withdrawals if you don't have it, or you
Yeah. Well, I don't know I don't know what you count as withdrawals. But yeah, it hurts. So I need it. So it's interesting to kind of compare addictional drug use to recreational drug use and try to be careful and try to be aware of what line you're walking.
Right. Would you like to get to our next caller?
Please.
Awesome. And we still have a couple lines open if you're watching and would like to call in and give your feedback. Brandon J., you are on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
I think you got the wrong name there.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, it says Brandon J.
Maybe it's just a phone connection. What's your name, buddy?
Jesse.
Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. Oh, hey, you calling back. How are you?
I'm all right. I just wanted to call about, I have a brain injury, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I used marijuana when I was on it. Right. You have to forgive me. I just woke up. My brain is kind of foggy at this point.
Good morning.
What's that?
Good morning.
What was that? Oh, hello.
What do you got for us?
I was on medication. Still am, and I absolutely would not recommend this because you're not supposed to do anything, any drugs when you're on this. Again, I do not recommend this. However, I did it anyway, and I was okay as far as the warnings on the medication go. But the experience that I had when just smoking pot was just very, it just twisted my mind a lot. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was okay. I mean, I didn't become addicted to it anyway.
Okay.
What I would do was I would always, I would never buy it. I would always just like bum a little bit off of it whenever I was around people that had it. And the way that I used it was I always had like a pipe or something like that, a small pipe, and I would put like just a very, very little bit of it. And I would make it last. I would, as I used to call it, iron lung it. In other words, I would like inhale as much as I could, and I would hold it for as long as I could. Then I would like let out a little bit at a time, and then inhale, and then keep going like that until it was gone.
So how did it help you?
That actually lasted a long time. So, but I mean, the experiences that I had were very otherworldly. I mean, it felt really good. Go ahead. I sent you wanting to ask something.
No. So are you saying it is beneficial to your mental health? Like how specifically has it helped you?
Well, it just, I just enjoyed it. Like Jenna was saying, it wasn't something that I needed.
Okay.
But I just enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it a lot. So it was not one of those things that I was ever in danger of being, addicted to. It was always, recreational quote type thing where I always just enjoyed it. It was always just something for enjoyment. I mean, it was never a thing where I had to have it. I mean, if I was always just bumming it off of friends, I mean, and it wasn't that often because a little bit would last me a long time. So,
that's okay.
And overall, would you say your use of it was helpful towards you?
Well, I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. So, yeah, I guess so. I haven't done it in a long time, but not that I wouldn't. But I mean, it's not like I'm seeking it. I don't really go out and look for it. It's not like I want to. I mean, if it comes along, well, okay, I guess.
Would you say that so you haven't really looked for it? Would you say that you have a vice?
I'm sorry?
Would you say that you have a vice?
What do you mean?
Like, so the way I define vice is when you have something that you're, like a guilty pleasure, like something that you do on the side that, whether it's, reading sex novels or, smoking weed or, I don't know, what would be cigarettes as a vice?
Trying to Probably.
You don't have to. I was just wondering. Random question.
No. I'm just thinking.
Sure.
I
Well,
would probably have to get back.
Sure. Well, let me help you out. Like, for example, I used to drink and smoke, and I realized that I wasn't using them as a vice. They became addictive problems for me, and they actually made my anxiety and depression worse, and my financial situation and my relationships worse. And so that's when it becomes a problem. That's when you have something that you need to change. So I had to get rid of them. And with my level of anxiety and depression, I had to have something to replace that with. And so that's why I used to smoke weed. Just if somebody was smoking, I'd take a bong hit or smoke a pipe or something. Well, not during the pandemic. But now it's become where that's all that I have left. Like I don't do anything else. My only vice now is smoking weed because it does ease my anxiety. It doesn't ruin things. It actually improves my life.
Okay.
I would say if it helps you in the long run, if it improves your life, then go for it. Keep doing it. If it's hurting you in any way, if you're feeling guilty, if you're regretting it, if you're hurting relationships, if you're hurting your bank account, if you're hurting something, there you go. Adult coloring books. I love adult coloring books. I have glitter gel pens for my adult coloring books. Oh yeah. But yeah, so I was just wondering.
Probably some of the memes that I've been doing lately.
There you go.
I mean, a lot of the people really like them. And they're not really hurting anyone, except the people that get offended. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't hell with them. And it's just like, but then my personality really isn't just that. And I don't want it to be just that. But like on my Facebook profile, that's pretty much taken over. That is my, somewhat X-rated memes that I do. And a lot of the times I don't request people as friends, or I won't. That's actually not true. I wouldn't anyway. But certain people I don't really want as friends because of that.
Right.
Because I don't want them to think that's all that I'm about, because it's really not. Far, far from that. But at the same time, it's like I'm very sexually frustrated, and that's kind of how it comes out.
I'm sorry.
May I ask what you're doing to help yourself? If you don't mind discussing that, you don't have to.
What's that?
To help your frustration.
I don't care.
I guess you're doing the memes, right?
What's that?
I guess you're doing those memes to help with that, right? And that's improving your life.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
There.
Definitely.
So that's good. So that's your vice.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Good. I mean, we do all have things we need to, help us get through the day. And as long as we're responsible with it, I think that's okay.
Right.
Jesse, I do want to thank you for taking the time to call in. We have a few more callers we got to get to.
Oh.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you for calling back and talking to us.
No problem. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.
You too, love. We'll talk to you later.
See, Jenna, if you were logged in right now, you could pick which caller we take.
I know, but I had a cleaning morning accident.
Okay. I will go with line 6. Kenneth, you are on with Jenna and Ethan. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, I'm really super fascinated by a couple of things. One, I wanted to ask you guys, when you talk about a drug, what exactly? I mean, just knocking down definitions. What are you guys referring to?
Yeah, that's actually a really good
That's
question.
that is a good question, because sex is a drug in a sense. So it kind of depends on how you define it.
I guess where I was going with this episode, and Jenna, let me know if this lines up. We're talking, like mushrooms, LSD, marijuana, those types of things. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Eric, love you.
So if I could offer something, so I looked up the definition of drug just because I was curious.
Yeah.
And so the definition that I saw was a substance that has a physiological effect when ingested into the body, which is such a broad definition.
Yes.
I mean, that would apply to food.
Yeah.
And when you guys talk about recreational drug use, I think there's so many stigmas attached to that. But I mean, like I think one of you said earlier, I mean, like aspirin's a drug. You know, we don't think of it as being a bad thing if someone takes aspirin to alter their physiological state. But there's all this moral baggage in our society where people are stigmatized and looked down on for, ingesting other substances.
Right. Mushrooms are a food. Now, there's certain kinds that release different chemicals, but
yeah, well, yeah, like I chatted with Ethan about, like, very briefly when he was, flying high on his trip yesterday, and which was wonderful. But it was like, when we're talking about, especially like the reactions that he got from certain friends of his on the right end of the political spectrum, we're talking about plants.
Mm-hmm.
And if people are going to get mad at you for, ingesting a plant, especially people who have like a religious motivation for doing that, I would want to ask them, well, like, who put the plant here for us to have fun with in the first place, according to their worldview,
Right.
Well, how do they compare it to alcohol?
Yeah.
Right. Alcohol, you're actually doing even more to that plant than you're doing to the mushroom or the marijuana.
You talk about like the ethical implications too, and the mental health consequences of taking various drugs. I mean, I don't know if there's another drug that has a more like detrimental effect that we can measure and quantify than alcohol. I mean, even just like drunk driving. It's.
I've had 2 drunk driving accidents.
Confused on this.
Were you the driver?
Mm-hmm. Yes, both times. One of the times I should have died. Like, I went over a cement like drain thing, and then somehow backed up and drove into another one.
Oh, wow.
I was blacked out drunk the whole time. Like, I don't even remember it. Yeah, I don't drink anymore.
I can't blame you. I've been fortunate in the sense where, like, I don't think my brain allows me to black out. Like, no matter, because when I was 21, I knew how to pound them back and party, but no matter how much I drank, I never quite like lost control or got to a point where my ex says it's because I'm a freak about controlling my mind and I won't let myself relax. But I mean, I guess that makes sense because I am really paranoid over the idea of not being in control of my actions.
I don't know. I'm kind of the same way. And for me, it's the opposite in the sense of my mind is like, holy shit, something bad's going to happen. We're going to protect you. So you're just not going to remember anything. And so there were times where I would be blacked out drunk, and the next day I'd be asking my friends like, oh my God, did I do anything? And they're like, you were drunk? And I'm like, I don't remember anything. So, sorry, Kenneth, please. What do you think?
First of all, I think I speak for everybody when I say that I'm super glad that nothing did happen to you in these accidents. But it's crazy to me that it is like socially acceptable if you want to go out every weekend and get absolutely hammered and alter your psychological and physiological states with alcohol, knock yourself out, have a great time. But if you do the same thing with microdosing with mushrooms, people are much more quick to get very judgy with you.
Yes.
And when we talk about mental health, it's like, if what you're doing doesn't have a detrimental effect on yourself or others, why would it even be anybody else's business at all? Why would anybody feel the need to criticize you or judge you for activities that really have no effect on them?
I think it's the same thing with contraception and all that, you know, sex and marriage, like that has nothing to do with you. But people take things personally. People, I think, at least from my experience, the certain people that I grew up with, they take on the responsibility of others. And so everyone thinks that it is their job to control everyone else around them. And so they think that it is their job to protect them. And since I know nothing about this, all I know is that I've heard bad things or that it is illegal, I'm going to do everything that I can to protect you from it and keep you from it because I think it's bad.
I've never understood
it's been
why
an interesting experience for me the last few years because I have a job where I work for the government. I can't take any drugs at all, and that's been fine for me. You know, I did some drugs in college and in grad school, but I was never really super. I mean, it was very recreational. I was never super into anything. But it's been interesting to notice that I still will find myself looking for other ways to alter my, you know, physiological and psychological state, whether it's with, you know, food or with gaming or, you know, exercise. I'm out doing stuff. I'm still engaging in activities specifically for the purpose of altering my mental and physical states. I'm just doing it differently.
Right. And
so to me, I don't see any significant like ethical difference in trying to change your states with one activity versus another. Ultimately, it's all about brain chemistry anyway. So
I could see how you could be against something like, for example, meth. You know, like when you're altering your state of mind in a way that you are destroying your brain, like that you're creating holes in your brain. That releases a certain chemical, like when you die, that releases a chemical like what mushrooms does, which is a pleasant feeling. And so it feels good at the time, but you're eating holes in your brain. So that I could see is it's just not a good drug, even if you do it recreationally. So I could see how somebody could think that they are all like that, just, you know, not knowing, you know.
Which that brings up an important question, and I don't obviously this would be for another episode, but where is the line when it comes to recreational drugs? Like, you know,
who's it up to?
Everything and just kind of let what happens and focus on education, or do we pick and choose what we allow?
Who decides?
Well, there was a time there was a drug that I tried, and I distinctly remember the first time I tried this drug having the thought, I can see why people ruin their lives with this, because this is such a euphoric feeling, and feeling very fortunate after that moment of clarity to be like, I wonder how many people have the presence of mind in that moment to even realize that. And it made me very wary of wanting to continue, because I was like, I can see this going somewhere that I don't want it to go, and me losing control very, very quickly. But so for me, that's where the line was. It was like just being like, I can't handle this. Maybe other people can, I can't. And to me, that's where, in my own experience, where there was a useful boundary between recreational and potentially changing my life in a way I didn't want to happen.
Do you think that there is some kind of hard line that we could say, you know, this is how much people can do, or this is what drugs people can do? Do you think that that's something that the law should be deciding? Just in your opinion, I know I happen to know that you have some background with this.
Yeah. Well, to me, it should all be about outcomes. I mean, if somebody can do a drug and not then go out and harm anybody else, I don't think that we have any business legislating their activity. I mean, you can take any number of perfectly legal substances and harm yourself, and no one cares at all. I mean, we're not out here, legislating ice cream and being like, listen, you can only buy 2 pints, because if you take more than that, your cholesterol is going to go up. We don't think of it in that way.
Right.
So if somebody wants, I mean, even with something like meth, if somebody wants to take something that's going to destroy their brain and, you know, may have extreme detrimental effects to them, I don't see how that's really ethically any different than somebody going nuts with the Big Macs, you know. So,
well, because the Big Macs attacks your arteries inside of your body, and the meth not only attacks your brain, but it also affects the way that you act, and you become a danger to others.
And here's where it becomes a slippery slope for me. Let's say, for example, we legalize like heroin or meth. You know, we say, hey, as long as you're not harming anybody, it's okay. Well, heroin and meth can typically lead to an addiction, which in turn you will end up eventually quite possibly harming people, be stealing or doing anything to be able to supply your own habit. So how do we find the line in that area?
Right. See, that to me sounds like a bit of a stretch, but that's to me.
If heroin was legalized today, Ethan, would you be like, sweet, I'm gonna go out and buy some heroin to try it?
No.
I would. I really don't think it would change too many people's behavior. I think legalizing these substances would unburden the justice system and the prison system. But in terms of actually influencing people's behavior and how they relate to these substances, I really don't see it changing that much. It's not like it's really difficult to get your hands on drugs if you really want to anyway.
Well, I've heard that there's these drug clinics that they've done in Canada, and I could be wrong, but this is something I've heard on the news. And so if somebody knows otherwise, please let us know. But I've heard that they have these clinics where people can go to if they're addicted and they need to shoot up and they need a safe place to go rather than a back alley or a bar bathroom. They have a place to go where if they do OD, then there is a nurse nearby that can help protect them. And what it does is it helps people kind of realize what they're doing. And I think what I've heard is that there's been like next to no deaths, next to no overdoses.
Really?
And that it's helpful, that it helps people. That's what I've heard.
Well, and when we talk about like, in my research and experience, you're absolutely right, Jenna. And we have facilities here in Chicago where there's like needle exchanges and stuff where people can come and try to, there's an understanding that they're doing illegal and potentially harmful things, but we're going to try to minimize as many risks to these human beings as we can, and still see their humanity and try to, just not leave them floating out there where they're on the fringes of society.
And society loves to give up.
When we're talking about mental health and drugs, I mean, so much of this intersection where when you have these substances and they're criminalized and then people are addicted to them, I feel like we're creating layers on layers of bad mental health outcomes for people when not only are you struggling with a substance issue, but you're also struggling with shame and potential criminal consequences and a whole bunch of other things that are going to just compound all of the negative factors in your life. So, I mean, to me, decriminalizing drugs across the board seems like a very smart and really like a humanist idea at the end of the day.
I agree. Although unfortunately, I think it's going to be a really it'll be a long time before we get to that point, particularly with the Christian right in our way.
Well, I'm going to be writing in Ethan Micheal on my ballot for president this year, and I think everyone else should do the same. There's a clear path forward here, and I think that's it.
Never mind. Instead, put your friendly neighborhood atheist on the ballot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love talking to you guys. I got to run, but I'll keep listening to the show.
All right.
Thank you for calling. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good one, man.
Take care.
Bye.
We still have a couple more callers, though. You said, right?
Yeah, we still have one more caller.
One more caller. So what do you think, real quick, before we go to the caller, what do you think about where the line is after that conversation?
So, okay, originally for most of my life, I was against it because I, of course, thought I knew what was best for people. I would say currently, even prior to this call, I am for the legalization of all of it. But I think we need to, have areas set up to help these people. We need to further drug education. There's a lot that goes along with it. And it could potentially lead to some bad outcomes, but overall, kind of like what Kenneth was saying, it would, unburden the legal system. So I would say at this point, I am for the legalization of all recreational drugs.
Ditto.
Because honestly, I don't think anybody should be telling other people what they can or cannot do. Like, do I really want another person doing heroin? No. But at the same time, I mean,
Well,
who am I to tell them what they can or can't do with their body?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would legalize everything except for alcohol. So is it up to me? No, I think everything should be up to everyone. You know, I have a personal vendetta against alcohol, yet that's the one that seems to be the most prevalent and freaking like, you know, you've got 6 different ways to get it when you go to the gas station. So
Yes, and I'm honestly, it frustrates me because I grew up around people who I don't want to say like had an alcohol problem, but people who thought it was okay just to constantly drink.
right.
I have to have my drink after work. I just have to. It's like, why do you have to? Why do you
That's the
need?
definition of an alcoholic.
Right? And I'll just say there's a family member where I've repeatedly talked to, and they don't see it as an addiction. They'll have 3 glasses at dinner, of hard liquor, and claim it's not a problem, and then turn around and judge me for smoking weed.
Well, so to be fair, it's not a problem until it's a problem for them. And so if everybody is looking the other way, if everybody, hold on, my computer's going to die. Hey, Cav, can you bring my charger, please? I'm so sorry. Until it's a problem for that person, they're going to keep doing it. So like I told you on the last stream when we were talking about the relationships, and if you have a friend or a family member who has an addiction problem, what do you do to help them? Do you have some kind of intervention? Do you just start hiding their stuff? No. What you do is you tell them where your boundary is, and you tell them that they are hurting you by making you watch them kill themselves, or endanger themselves, or hurt others, or whatever it is that you have an issue with. But you tell them what your issue is and where your boundary is, and say, if you're doing whatever X is, I'm not going to be around you. I'm not going to support you in doing that. And that's when enough people cut that person off, enough people make it to where this becomes a problem for that person, then they can have that opportunity to, as we say, hit rock bottom, right? Where, not the right thing, where they can actually have an opportunity to fix whatever it is that's wrong.
Yeah,
which is the drug.
And I just wish it didn't have such an unfair stance in society where it's, you think about it, you go to a bar and immediately, what do you want to drink? You sure? Come on, have a drink. People constantly pressure you into it. And why? Why do we allow this? Why is alcohol okay and everything else bad? Like, alcohol is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, particularly more dangerous than mushrooms and weed.
Well, with mushrooms, I can take it once and then I'm done. And I never lose my inhibitions. I never become somebody else. And I don't overdose, I don't lose control. Same thing with anything out like marijuana, but with alcohol, I literally become a different person. There are 2 different people I can become. I'm sorry.
Like, do you become super hyper? Like when you say you become a different person?
So what I started out as, I'd be drunk Jenna, where I'd be happy drunk Jenna. And I would be really happy, really hyper, bouncy, bubbly. And I've seen videos and it's really funny to watch. Okay. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was an entertainment for the people that I drank with. And so they always wanted me to come. They always wanted me to go drink with them because I made it fun. Right. But there were times where I have CPTSD. So I get triggered. And there were times where somebody would do something that would trigger me. For example, if you try to control me, that's a big trigger. And a really good way to do that is to try to take my keys from me and tell me that I'm not driving. Okay. Triggered. All of a sudden, I'm bad drunk Jenna. And I become this violent, angry 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. I can start, well, not violent, but I can just start like throwing punches and just randomly, not at people, but just scary. Right. I'll scream. I've been told some scary things, and I've actually lost like all of my friends because I became that person most of the time eventually. And so that's the thing is like, I'm not that person. Like, I'm not. I'm just not. But
No, you're a
when I
sweetheart.
drank, thank you. But I don't understand why that's the one that's okay. That's the one that has to be tempting me freaking everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I love wine. I love tequila, man.
I
I
love
love Shiner. Jesus. Sorry.
Hey, we're gonna get to our next caller.
Yes, please.
I don't see a name on this one. You, whoever this is, you're on with Ethan and Jenna. How are you?
I'm good. It's Oz. How are you guys?
What's up, dude?
Hey, Oz.
What's up, homies?
How's it going? What you got going on with recreational drug use? What's your opinion?
Good. Well, first of all, legalize all of it.
Right.
I can't remember what country it is, but they legalized everything, and not only did addiction rates go down, but also crime rates went down once there wasn't a quote unquote black market for it. So
Okay.
let's just do good for everybody and legalize it.
Yeah. How do we get that going? How do we do that?
What's that?
How do we do that?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's I studied a little bit over there. I can't remember where it's at right now, but they definitely didn't have the right lean, the right religious lean that we have to fight here in the States. So I'm sure that helped things on a little quicker. But I agree with everything you guys said, and even the other caller, that who are we to tell anybody what they do or don't put in their body?
Right.
If you want to put chemicals that are going to rot your brain and your body, then have a blast. I'm not going to do it.
What do you or what have you used,
murder.
or what's your drug of choice? Your DOC, as addicts say.
You're never heard that.
Rehab.
I've at least settled around with just about any of your street or recreational drugs. Before I became sober, my drug of choice was cocaine. I had a very, very bad habit. But my outlook on drugs now is, everybody do what thou wilt. But I am one that I really stay away from all of it now. If I were to be around, if I had an opportunity to take shrooms stuff, would I love that experience? But I just know for me, my reason for calling was saying a lot of this does come down to that self-control, and each person's going to be their own case. And
Absolutely.
for me, I have a very addictive personality.
Okay.
So I have to be very careful of what I do or don't put into my body that's going to change, my mind state or anything like that, because I will trip into an addiction very quickly. So that was my only thought listening to it is, shrooms they don't own that addictive property like cocaine or heroin would. But yeah, it's that was my whole point in calling, is just be for everybody. Do what you want, it's your life, and don't go to jail or anything, but enjoy life, do what you want to do. But if you have particular tendencies, respect those tendencies, because I know if I snorted a line right now, it'd be over with. I love that. I love that rush. And it would be, that would be all bad.
The interesting, so just, I'm going to be honest go ahead.
I think what you're trying to say is, hey, let's legalize it all, but be responsible about it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, with alcohol, I love now my vice or whatever is alcohol. And with having insomnia, sleep apnea, ADHD, just trying to get to sleep at night is a bitch. So I have to have something to stop it all, right? And I hate the over-the-counter medicines and everything. So if there's anything that I do have, it'd be that. But like they always say, drink responsibly. If we legalized, the street drugs and recreational drugs, same thing. Just use it responsibly. Do what you want to do and have fun,
right?
Or relieve yourself. But yeah, do it responsibly.
To kind of show a juxtaposition there, like you say that your DOC was cocaine and mine was definitely alcohol and cigarettes to an extent. But I've done cocaine a few times, and I've never been into lines, more bumps, right? So it's just a tiny little bump here and there. And I have ADHD. Okay. But I haven't been prescribed Adderall or anything. And Adderall is actually like a lower form, or is it more extreme or less extreme than cocaine? I guess less extreme, right? It's a methamphetamine,
That I don't know.
or what is it?
I'm
Crap,
on
I could be wrong.
I'm on Adderall. I take what was it, the 20 milligrams. They have me on twice a day, and I could tell you it has the similar effect, but you don't
Right.
get that Superman feeling. Like
Right.
you do. Yeah.
Question, could that be one of the reasons that like you have trouble sleeping? Because when I was, taking Adderall, I could not sleep.
Yeah, it's what they call an upper. It kind of like caffeine does to you, but obviously more extreme.
Right.
And so for my ADHD, doing a bump here and there actually is like, it's not like a rush for me. It's not like a drug for me. It's like, oh my God, I could clean my house. Okay. All right. And
Right.
I can finally organize my thoughts. And so I really should be on Adderall. I need to talk to my doctor about that. But for me, if I were to get my hands on cocaine, I would have probably just a little tiny baggie of it. And I'd probably keep it in, a little dresser drawer. And I'd like do a bump every now and then, like on a weekend when I needed to clean the house. It wouldn't be an issue for me, right? It wouldn't be a drug for me. It'd be a drug of recreational use, I guess.
Have either of you tried kratom? Because there are some strains of kratom that allegedly are really good for ADHD.
Never heard of it.
It's actually a natural plant. It's ground up into a powder. They've got like red, white, and something else. The reds are really good for anxiety, and then some of the whites are good for ADHD, and I forgot what the third one is. It's recently been legalized in Illinois.
Kratom. I've never heard of this. Is this how do you do it? What is it?
So that it can come in pill form or it can come in powder form. And what you'll do, like I get the powder form, you take a teaspoon, you put it in your mouth, and then you take like water and swish it around and swallow it. A lot of addicts have actually used it to get off of opiates. It's apparently incredibly beneficial to helping. So
I will definitely look into it.
Yeah, I would say check it out. Again, be responsible about it, do your research, and make your own decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. I'll have to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And Jenna, to what you just said, I think you proved the point. Well, to a T there, because it's what for you is a benefit. You can do it responsibly. If we were all in the same room and I did that one bump with you, that one bump's going to lead to I need another one.
And for me, it's one shot, one glass, one taste of wine, right? So it's opposite for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you so much for calling and for telling us that.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Oz. It was nice talking to you. Oh, and Oz, thank you for the therapist. I got through to her, and we're setting something up in the next week. So
nice.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep. You'll love her. You'll love her.
I already do. Talking to her, had a good conversation. So I'm pretty excited to actually start this. I basically told her, like, look, I've got so much in my head that I just need to get out and talk to somebody about before it becomes my downfall.
Yep. No, I've talked to a lot of therapists, and she is number one on my list. She's amazing. So
thank you again. For
enjoy.
That.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
This has been an exciting episode. I just truthfully am quite happy at the fact that I had no idea I was going to be able to try shrooms before this episode. So the simple fact that was able to happen is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to, and we can both talk about it. Because go ahead.
And one thing I both of us keep forgetting is to make sure we have a topic ready that we can promote in this episode
before the next one.
Yeah. Forgetting. So,
well, if y'all have any topics,
yeah, and whether it be mental health and something, because we've been covering mental health and pets, mental health and partners, mental health and recreational drugs, but we're not just going to stick with mental health. So if there is anything you would like to see Ethan and Jenna cover, let us know in the comments. We're doing it every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time, which is plenty of time to watch our episode and gives you a break before Talk Heathen. So,
Yeah. Go ahead. What's up?
No, I was just saying, so check us out every week.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we should talk about COVID. You know, we haven't really talked about specifically the pandemic and how people are doing.
You know, that's actually a good one. And I've wanted to talk about Trump and the pandemic because I'm finding there's a lot of, or Trump and him getting COVID, because I find the left, there seems to be some serious disagreements. Like some are extremely happy and believe he's deserving of it. I'm even seeing some people calling for his death and hoping he dies. I am not on the fence there. Like, I do not want anybody to die. And I understand why people are like, you know, well, he downplayed this for so long. He deserves it. But I have an issue with that deserve mentality. I think that comes from Christians and Republicans. And I feel like that's bleeding over into the left. We're sitting here, okay, when someone does us wrong, let's say they deserve this, or let's wish the worst on them. Like, why are we doing that? We need to be better than the right now. We need to stand tall.
I agree. If you're doing what somebody's doing to you, they're just going to keep doing it back.
Exactly. It's never ending cycle. So sometimes you just have to step up and say, yeah, I'm not going to take your shit. You know, it's like Daryl Davis, man. That dude got, turned so many members away from the KKK simply by being their friend. The guy is, in my opinion, brilliant. So, that might be a topic: COVID and mental health.
Yeah. I just saw this. This is kind of funny about the bump. If I did one bump, it would lead me waking up in Bangkok 4 days later with a pet cheetah wondering what happened. Thank you for sharing.
What do you have going on this week?
I'm trying to get that show going that I keep mentioning. But we had such an emotional week last week that I really wasn't functioning. We've got carrot noises on Friday, and I'll be painting live at 3:30 till 5:30. And then we have, of course, this again. And I'm actually going to be on the Atheist Experience this afternoon at 4:30. So
I'll be tuning in.
Yay, that'd be fun.
You have something else going on this week too, Jenna.
Oh, what else do I have? Let's see.
Well, at Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Jenna
Belk
is hosting the Atheist Women's Roundtable on your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist channel.
Yes. Do we have a full table yet? We
have a full table. I mean, granted, StreamYard does allow up to 10 people now.
No, I don't know if I could handle that many people.
Yeah, that is a lot. So maybe we should stick with 6.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday for me is the Perspective. It's a call-in show where you can bring in a supernatural claim, belief, or even talk about aliens and what your thoughts are on them. This Tuesday, I'm still working on a co-host, so we'll see who turns up. And then also Wednesday at 5 p.m. on my 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time on my other channel, youtube.com/YFNA News, myself and Rick Lockhart will be interviewing 2 more Republicans as we did this past week, which was a frustratingly enjoyable conversation. Very frustrating.
Please tell us more.
A lot of it, there wasn't, they were supposed to come prepared with how why they support Donald Trump. And unfortunately, the only takeaway I got was he says it like it is. And what he does on paper looks good. But we never found out what actually he does on paper that looks good. And particularly my favorite, though, is, when she wanted, when the girl on the show wanted to make America great again. And when I asked her if she could cite a time, she couldn't. For like 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, give me a time period when America was great. Well, I can't really, when we were patriotic. Okay, when? Well, when people appreciate our country more. Okay, when? Kenneth, dude, you're always welcome as a co-host, bro. So if you're free, you are absolutely going to be the co-host if you're down.
Woo!
Um,
It's
so
a Kenneth and Jenna kind of week.
she ended up
Sorry.
getting to that's okay. She ended up saying that it was during the 90s that America was great. That was like
Oh
the
my God.
best you could come up with. So yeah, I will say this: if you watch last week's episode on my channel, you're gonna get a little frustrated. You could actually see me getting frustrated and a little less than friendly because the questions were not being answered, and a lot of it just kept going back to, well, liberals are emotional, and I have no emotional problem with Donald Trump the way he acts. Like, anyways, she'll be coming back. She's an atheist Republican. She'll be on Wednesday at 5 p.m. with some other Republicans. So we'll see how that goes.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, and that's everything I have going on this week.
I also have to mention that I have a huge backlog of atheist stasis videos, and I've been trying to just crank them out. What I'm trying to do is get out one video a day because I have at least a month of atheist stasis videos. So keep an eye out. I'm going to just start cranking out videos left and right. So there will be shows, and Puck, I'm going to get him to help me edit some of them. But yes, that's exciting. So there's going to be a flood coming.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And I do want to talk about real quick the changes coming to your friendly neighborhood atheist. Early on, when I started this, I was doing a lot like political, dating, all this stuff. And I ended up moving some of that stuff off your friendly neighborhood atheist, because it was recommended that an atheist channel be atheist only content. I don't like that. I don't agree with that. Because at the same time, say someone comes on a Monday night to my regular, weekly show on dating and sex. This Monday is going to be on consent. Even if they're not into atheism, they're still coming to an atheist channel.
Who told you this?
Possibility. We'll talk off the air about
Okay,
that.
sorry. I'm not sorry. It doesn't matter who told you this. I'm not doing that. I have atheist stasis on my Jenna Belk channel, and I have carrot noises. And then this is the one that I'm working on is Genesis.
Okay.
And so
like that Genesis.
Thank you. And notice that Eric Murphy helped me come up with this little trend here, this SIS at the end of each one. Atheist stasis, carrot noises, Genesis. So so anyway, that's exciting.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry that you felt that you had to make two channels.
Well, I did because I took it seriously, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to confuse the atheists or what. That is what happened. I was so frustrated during that interview. Yeah, it was hard to deal with, but I remained somewhat calm. That's the other thing I've noticed. Hemmons Meta was right. If you label yourself friendly, if at any point you are just a hair less than friendly, it's you're a friendly neighborhood atheist. Why are you not being friendly? Like, okay, I have my opinions and views. I have emotions. I'm going to show them. I'm not going to be bubbly and giddy all the time. Like, if someone tries to condone slavery, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, that's great, cool. Like, I'm gonna push back on that.
I think that it's important, actually, that if you are friendly, that you do show different sides of you that aren't happy and bubbly, because happy and bubbly aren't the only positive emotions. Anger is a necessary. It may not be positive, but it's a necessary emotion. You're supposed to get angry, right? Like that. There's a reason you get angry is because your body is trying to tell you that there is some kind of violation that has happened, right? Something's wrong. And if you're never angry, then you're not being honest with yourself. Right. Sorry, but flabbergasted.
These are killing me. Your neighborhood marginally reserved. Starting this Monday, you are going to see other content popping up on your friendly neighborhood atheist. Hope you like it. If not, all the other stuff will still be there. So Monday will be my co-host Holly, and we will be talking about consent and what consent means to you.
Also, huge. We each have our own Patreon, and then we have a Patreon for this channel. And for this channel, we are donating was it 25% of it to Recovering from Religion? And then 25% of it back to the show.
Sorry. It was 35.
A portion.
There we go. Let's say that. A portion to Recovering from Religion and to giving back to the audience. So we're trying to do something unique here. We want to help and build the community and do everything we can. So if you can support us for as low as $1 a month, the link is in the description. If you like Jenna more than me, you can go to her Patreon and go to, and support her. So,
or if you just want to support us, because we are, both of us, if you look both of our channels, we're doing a lot of work. We're really trying to help promote the friendly atheist image. We're trying to grow this community of friendliness and charitable listening and mental health awareness and honesty. And so, if you believe in us, and this show, then please support this show. But if you believe in us individually, then you can do that as well. And remember, it's as little as $1, $3. I think my lowest is $3. $3 a month. I mean, that's less than Netflix.
And say you're not in a position to help us, there is another way you can help us. You can take this video and blast it out on Twitter, on your Facebook. Do everything you can to help us grow this channel. Because again, the more we grow, the more you will grow and the more we'll be able to give back. So if you can, take the link to this video right now, post it on Twitter, ask people to check us out, like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on so you get notified every time we go live.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything. What do you think?
I think we're good. I think we're good. I think that we're going to have to come back and talk about something somewhat. I don't think that COVID should be political, but we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, are we doing COVID and mental health? Are we just doing COVID overall? Are we doing COVID in the Republican Party?
Let's say COVID-19.
Okay, cool.
Because it could talk about many different things. We could talk about whether somebody thinks it's a conspiracy, or we could talk about whether somebody's lost somebody to it, or somebody has it right now.
Our president has it.
Our president has it.
And by the way, did you see that he's in the hospital with COVID right now, and he posts a tweet thanking everyone for coming outside the hospital and supporting him. Keep in mind, most of them did not have masks on. It's like, can you just tell your followers to put some frigging masks on? You are now infected with this. Like, clearly, it's a real issue. It's not a Democratic hoax. Start caring about other people.
Even as safe as he was being, right? You saw him. I've seen him be extremely very careful and safe lately, and he's still got it. Right? You can be careful and still get it. I have neighbors that have been extremely careful, still got it.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I was lucky. I was in direct contact with somebody who tested positive for it in a intimate setting, and I did not get it, so I was quite happy.
Well, I hope that you're all staying safe. I hope you're all wearing masks, and I hope that you're all going out as little as possible. I understand that you do have to go to the grocery store. I do understand that you do have to have human contact, especially if you're living alone. But please just do it minimally. Be careful. Keep a distance, okay? Get tested. If you do really need that contact, then just, maybe quarantine for 2 weeks after if you can't get tested, right? So please just take extra precautions, because I'm sorry. I'm sick of people dying.
Same.
More than having to wear a mask. I'm sick of hearing that the death rate's going up. So breathe. Love you all.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us today. And I hope everyone has a safe week. And check out Talk Heathens going live in 45 minutes. And then Jenna will be on The Atheist Experience, where I first saw her at 4:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So check them out.
Thank y'all so much.
Good night, everyone.